The Dominion swept across the galaxy like a plague, leaving only submission and ruin in its wake. On once thriving planets, the proud spires of advanced civilizations now lay in shadow, dominated by the hulking silhouettes of Dominion warships. I watched the news feeds with a mixture of horror and defiance, my heart heavy with the knowledge that Earth was next. And yet, unlike the others, we had not bowed. We stood alone, a solitary beacon of resistance in the darkness. The feeds cut to scenes of Earth's bustling cities, our last line of defense. The skyline of New York City, still scarred from previous attacks, gleamed defiantly. People rushed about, their faces set with grim determination. Despite our primitive technology compared to our alien counterparts, humanity's spirit remained unbroken. Public broadcasts and news reports echoed our resolve, even as they braced us for the looming threat of the Dominion. The camera panned over the advanced research lab where I spent most of my days, buried in my work. As Dr. Alara Voss, I had one goal: to unlock humanity's untapped potential. My colleagues and I raced against time, perfecting the Collective Human Consciousness (CHC) project. The lab buzzed with energy, a stark contrast to the chaos outside. Grief gnawed at me, a constant reminder of what I had lost. My family had been among the first casualties in an early Dominion attack. Their faces haunted my dreams, driving me to work harder, to push the boundaries of what was possible. The CHC was our best hope, a blend of ancient wisdom and cutting-edge technology, capable of unifying and amplifying human capabilities. I stood over the holographic display, my fingers flying over the controls as I adjusted the parameters of the CHC interface. Around me, the hum of machinery and the quiet conversations of my team created a rhythm that kept me grounded. "Dr. Voss, you should take a break," one of my assistants suggested, her voice tinged with concern. "You've been at this for hours." I shook my head, not taking my eyes off the display. "We don't have time for breaks, Lila. The Dominion won't wait." A flash of memory struck me. My daughter's laughter, my husband's smile. I clenched my jaw, channeling the pain into focus. "We need to be ready." Across town, Captain Jackson Reed was in a heated discussion with his superiors. Known for his rebellious nature and unmatched piloting skills, Reed was a wild card. His past was shrouded in mystery, a topic his crew never dared to broach. "We need eyes on that fleet," General Hayes barked, his stern expression betraying a hint of desperation. "Reed, you're the best we have. Get out there and bring us something we can use." Reed's eyes narrowed, his jaw set in a defiant line. "I'll do it, but don't expect me to follow your playbook. I do this my way, or not at all." Hayes glared but didn't argue. Reed's terms were accepted, and he was quickly briefed and prepped for his reconnaissance mission. As he suited up, his crew exchanged wary glances, whispering cryptic comments about their captain's past exploits. "Just another day in paradise," Reed muttered to himself, strapping into his fighter craft. "Let's see what these Dominion bastards are really made of." Meanwhile, in the grand chambers of the Earth Defense Council, Ambassador Lyra May stood at the center of a heated debate. Her empathy and pragmatism had earned her respect, but in these desperate times, every decision was scrutinized. "We cannot rely solely on military might," Lyra urged, her voice calm but firm. "Diplomatic efforts must continue alongside our preparations for defense. We need allies, and we need them now." A council member scoffed. "And who, pray tell, will stand with us against the Dominion? Fear grips the galaxy. Everyone is too terrified to oppose them." Lyra's eyes flashed with determination. "Then we must show them that fear can be overcome. Humanity has faced extinction before and survived. We will do so again." The council murmured amongst themselves, the weight of her words sinking in. Lyra knew it was an uphill battle, but she also knew that hope was a powerful weapon. It happened in an instant. One moment, the skies were clear. The next, Dominion warships descended like dark harbingers. Sirens blared through the city and panic erupted. Buildings crumbled under the onslaught, and the air filled with the screams of the wounded and dying. I stood in the lab, frozen as I watched the carnage unfold on the news feeds. The weight of the devastation bore down on me, but it also ignited a fierce resolve. The CHC had to be completed. There was no other option. "We're accelerating the project," I announced, turning to my team. "We don't have a choice. This ends now." In the aftermath of the attack, the Earth Defense Council scrambled to respond. Captain Reed's mission became even more critical. He launched his craft into the stratosphere, his heart pounding with the thrill and terror of what lay ahead. Meanwhile, Lyra May intensified her diplomatic efforts, reaching out to other human colonies and remaining free alien civilizations. Every call, every message, was a plea for solidarity against the Dominion. As the Council convened, I presented the CHC project, facing a barrage of skepticism and doubt. "We don't have time for ethical debates," I argued. "This is our best chance." Reed's reconnaissance mission brought back harrowing footage. Dominion ships, vast and numerous, poised to strike again. The realization hit hard. Earth stood on the brink of annihilation. Lyra's diplomatic efforts were met with reluctance and fear. Potential allies wavered, their resolve weakened by the Dominion's shadow. Earth's leaders grappled with the enormity of the threat, and the weight of our survival pressed down on us all. We had to hold the line. There was no other choice. The lab buzzed with a tense energy as we prepared for the first CAHC trial. I had spent countless hours refining the interface, but the real test lay ahead. The volunteers, a small, diverse group of the bravest souls I had ever met, stood before me, their faces a mix of determination and fear. "Thank you all for being here," I began, my voice steady despite the butterflies in my stomach. "What we're about to do is unprecedented. The CHC will connect us in ways we can't fully predict. But this is our best shot at standing against the Dominion." I looked around the room, making eye contact with each volunteer. There was Lila, my assistant who had insisted on participating despite my protests. Next to her, a seasoned soldier named Marcus, his eyes hardened by countless battles. And beside him, a young woman named Aaliyah, a tech prodigy whose intellect was matched only by her bravery. The process was painstaking. Electrodes were placed, neural pathways aligned, and the CHC interface powered up. As the connection initiated, I felt a surge of emotions and thoughts, not just my own, but those of everyone in the room. It was overwhelming, disorienting, but also beautiful. "Stay with me," I whispered, grounding myself in the collective consciousness. "We can do this." Before we could fully adjust to the new reality of the CHC, alarms blared throughout the lab. The Dominion had launched a full-scale invasion. Panic rippled through the connection, but I pushed back, anchoring us with a sense of calm and purpose. "Focus," I urged, transmitting the command through the CHC. "We need to hold together." Earth's defenses crumbled under the onslaught. Reports flooded in. Cities devastated, lives lost. Captain Reed's squadron fought valiantly, but the Dominion's sheer numbers overwhelmed them. I felt his frustration and despair through the CHC, his thoughts a torrent of self-recrimination and anger. "We have to retreat," Reed's voice crackled over the comms. "We're losing too many." I clenched my fists, feeling the helplessness and fury of our situation. Meanwhile, Ambassador May's negotiations with the Tyrellians, our last hope for powerful allies, fell apart under Dominion threats. Desperation clawed at my mind, but I couldn't let it take hold. "We need to move," I said aloud, my voice cutting through the chaos. "The CHC project must continue. We have to relocate to a hidden base." Gathering what equipment and data we could, we fled the lab, setting up in an old bunker deep underground. It was a far cry from our state-of-the-art facility, but it would have to do. The volunteers huddled together, their faces pale and drawn. We were running out of time. With Earth teetering on the brink of annihilation, the Earth Defense Council had no choice but to fully implement the CHC. The decision came with great reluctance, born of necessity rather than belief in the project. The rushed process strained the volunteers to their limits, the emotional and psychological burden of merging minds pushing some to the edge of madness. Reed and I clashed repeatedly. He blamed me for the loss of his squadron, for the lives we couldn't save. I blamed him for his recklessness, his refusal to follow protocols that might have minimized casualties. "You think this is easy for me?" he snapped during one heated argument. "I'm out there risking my life while you sit here playing God with our minds." "Do you think I wanted this?" I shot back, my voice trembling with anger and fatigue. "Every day, I carry the weight of those we've lost, but if we don't find a way to unite, we'll all be dead." The tension within the CHC was palpable, the connection strained by our conflicts, but it also provided a unique opportunity for understanding. Through the CHC, I glimpsed Reed's past, his childhood marred by war, the comrades he'd lost, the burden of leadership he bore with a heavy heart. We had to find common ground, to harness our collective strength against the real enemy. The CHC's first true test came sooner than expected. Dominion forces launched a surprise assault on our new location. The air crackled with energy as we connected, Reed leading the charge in an enhanced fighter craft, his thoughts and movements synced with ours. The battle was brutal. Dominion ships swarmed us, their weapons tearing through our defenses. But the CHC provided us with an edge. Our coordination was seamless, our responses instinctive. We moved as one, each volunteer contributing their unique skills to the fight. I felt every jolt of Reed's craft, every calculated maneuver he executed. Marcus's tactical acumen guided our strategy. Aaliyah's technical expertise kept our systems running, and Lila's unwavering support anchored us emotionally. "Push forward!" Reed's voice echoed through the CHC, filled with grim determination. "We can do this!" We fought with everything we had, repelling the Dominion assault through sheer will and unprecedented coordination. But victory came at a steep price. Several volunteers collapsed from the strain, their minds unable to cope with the intense connection. Lila, who had stood by my side from the beginning, was among them. Her loss hit me like a physical blow, the pain reverberating through the CHC. "We did it," I whispered, my voice barely audible over the static of the comms. "But at what cost?" The aftermath of the battle left us battered and scarred, both physically and mentally. The victory was bittersweet, a stark reminder of the dangers and potential of the CHC. We had proven its worth, but the ethical implications loomed large. As I looked around at the survivors, I knew we couldn't afford to rest. The Dominion was relentless, and our fight was far from over. But in that moment of shared pain and triumph, I also knew that we had found something powerful, something worth fighting for. Encouraged by our hard-won victory, Earth rallied. The news of our success against the Dominion spread like wildfire, igniting hope where despair had taken root. Ambassador Lyra May's efforts finally bore fruit. The Tyrellians, inspired by our resilience, agreed to lend their support. Other minor races followed suit, each contribution bolstering our chances. In the hidden base, I worked tirelessly to refine the CHC. The initial success had shown promise, but the strain on the volunteers had been immense. I tweaked the neural interfaces, adjusted the synaptic pathways, and improved the algorithms to enhance stability and accessibility. Every small improvement was a step towards a stronger, more reliable defense. Reed and I found an unexpected camaraderie in our shared grief. We had both lost people dear to us, and the weight of those losses fueled our determination. Late nights in the base, we would sit and talk, our conversations raw and honest. "We've come a long way," Reed said one night, his voice heavy with fatigue and something deeper, hope. "We have," I agreed, feeling the same flicker of hope. "And we still have a long way to go." The Dominion, ever relentless, soon recognized the CHC as a significant threat. They targeted our hidden base with a devastating weapon. We barely had time to react. Explosions rocked the underground bunker, walls crumbling and alarms blaring. We scrambled to evacuate, every second precious. "Move! Move! Move!" Reed shouted, guiding the volunteers through the smoke and debris. My heart pounded as I gathered the essential data and equipment, praying we could salvage enough to continue our work. We escaped just as the base collapsed behind us, a plume of dust and rubble marking its grave. We had lost our sanctuary, our refuge. But in that darkest moment, the CHC gave us a collective vision, a glimpse into the Dominion's command structure. We saw their leader, an overconfident tyrant who believed in his invincibility, and we saw a weakness, a chink in their seemingly impenetrable armor. "We have a chance," I said, my voice shaking with both fear and determination. "We can strike at the heart of the Dominion. We can end this." Our plan was audacious, born of desperation and hope. We would launch a direct assault on the Dominion's fleet, targeting their flagship. Reed would lead a combined force of human and allied ships, using the CHC to coordinate our attack. May, leveraging every bit of her diplomatic acumen, worked to secure crucial deals to prevent Dominion reinforcements. As I set up the mobile command center, the tension was palpable. Every wire connected, every system calibrated was a step towards the final confrontation. The volunteers, now seasoned and hardened, prepared themselves for the battle to come. "We need to be perfect," I told them, my voice carrying the weight of our mission. "We can't afford mistakes." Reed, already suited up, gave me a grim nod. "We won't make any." The battle erupted with a fury unmatched by anything we had faced before. Dominion ships swarmed, their firepower devastating, but we moved with a unity they couldn't comprehend. Through the CHC, we were one. Every thought, every maneuver synchronized. Reed and his team infiltrated the Dominion flagship, their minds connected to ours. I stayed linked to the CHC, guiding them despite the risk to my own mind. The strain was immense, but I couldn't falter. Not now. "We're inside," Reed's voice echoed through the CHC, "heading to the command center." May, from her diplomatic post, secured a last-minute alliance that brought unexpected reinforcements. Ships from previously neutral races joined the fray, tipping the balance in our favor. The Dominion, unprepared for such a coordinated assault, began to falter. "Take out their command systems," I urged, feeling the collective push of our minds. "We can do this." Reed's team reached the command center, disabling the systems with precision and fury. The Dominion flagship shuddered, its controls slipping. In that critical moment, the tide turned. The Dominion flagship exploded, a massive fireball that signaled the collapse of their forces. The remaining Dominion ships, leaderless and disoriented, retreated. We had done it. Earth emerged victorious, but the scars ran deep. The surviving CHC members were celebrated as heroes, but the psychological toll was heavy. We had delved into each other's minds, shared each other's pain and fear. The aftermath left us grappling with the weight of those experiences. As I looked around at my team, those who had survived, those we had lost, I contemplated the ethical implications of the CHC. It had saved us, but at a great cost. Reed and May began the arduous task of rebuilding, establishing a fragile but hopeful peace. In the end, we had found strength not just in our technology or our fighting spirit, but in our ability to connect, to empathize, to stand together against impossible odds. The CHC, once a desperate gamble, had become a symbol of unity. It would serve as the cornerstone of a new interstellar alliance dedicated to peace and mutual respect. Humanity had faced extinction and survived. And in our survival, we had forged a bond that transcended planets and races. We had shown the galaxy that even in the darkest times, hope could shine through. "We did it," Reed said, standing beside me as we looked out at the stars. "Against all odds, we did it." "Yes," I replied, feeling the weight of our journey and the promise of the future. "We did." The fight had been long and brutal, but we had emerged stronger, united. The future stretched before us, filled with challenges and opportunities, and for the first time in a long while, I felt a deep, abiding hope.